The abandoned warehouse loomed over the horizon like a rusted monolith, its jagged rooftop silhouetted against the blood-orange sunset. For years, the old industrial plant had been nothing more than a derelict husk, its machinery left to rot, its walls coated in graffiti and grime. To the kids of the nearby town, it was an urban legend in steel and shadow. A cursed place whispered about in classrooms and late-night bonfires. For Sam, Rachel, and Miguel, the warehouse wasn't just a creepy story, it was a dare. "I heard someone got locked inside last year and never came out," Miguel said as they stood outside the warped chain-link fence. His voice trembled slightly, betraying his bravado. "That's ridiculous," Rachel scoffed, her ponytail whipping in the evening breeze. "It's just an old building. What's the worst that could happen? A tetanus shot?" Sam, the quietest of the three, adjusted his flashlight nervously. "Let's just go in and get this over with." The dare was simple. Spend 1 hour inside the warehouse and return with proof. A piece of metal, a photograph, anything to show they weren't afraid. Sam wasn't keen on the idea, but he wasn't about to back out. He'd grown tired of being called a coward. The three slipped through a gap in the fence, their footsteps crunching on the gravel as they approached the yawning entrance. The heavy metal doors were rusted open, revealing a cavernous interior cloaked in darkness. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of mildew and oil, and the faint echoes of their footsteps bounced off the walls. Miguel swept his flashlight around, revealing remnants of the warehouse's past life. Conveyor belts frozen in time, rusted hooks dangling from chains, and shattered glass from old observation windows. "This place is so creepy," Miguel muttered. "Good thing you're here to protect us," Rachel teased, smirking. The warehouse wasn't just big, it was labyrinthine. Catwalks crisscrossed overhead, leading to control rooms perched like nests in the steel framework. Massive machines loomed in the shadows, their hulking shapes casting eerie silhouettes that looked almost human. As they ventured deeper, the temperature seemed to drop. Sam hugged his jacket tighter around him. "Let's just grab something and go," he whispered. But Rachel, ever the thrill-seeker, had other plans. "Let's check out the office upstairs," she said, pointing to a rusted staircase winding up to a darkened room. "Why?" Miguel asked, his voice rising an octave. "Because that's where they'd keep the good stuff. Come on." Reluctantly, the boys followed her up the groaning staircase. Each step felt precarious, the metal creaking under their weight. When they reached the office, Rachel pushed open the door, revealing a room frozen in time. Dust-covered desks sat cluttered with faded papers and broken typewriters. A cracked monitor rested in one corner, and filing cabinets stood ajar, their contents spilling out like entrails. The trio fanned out, their flashlights casting erratic beams across the room. "Look at this," Rachel said, picking up an old employee ID badge. The photo was faded, but the name was still legible: Elliot Granger, plant manager. Miguel shuddered. "Can we just go now? This place gives me the creeps." Before Rachel could respond, a loud clang echoed from somewhere below. The three froze. "What was that?" Sam whispered, his voice trembling. "Probably just the wind," Rachel said, though her bravado faltered. Miguel shook his head. "That didn't sound like wind." The sound came again, louder this time, followed by the faint scraping of metal against metal. It was deliberate, rhythmic, and coming closer. "We need to leave," Sam said, backing toward the door. Rachel nodded, her confidence finally cracking. "Yeah, let's." The door slammed shut. All three of them screamed, their flashlights whipping around the room. Rachel lunged for the handle, twisting it desperately, but it wouldn't budge. "Someone's out there," Miguel yelled. A low, guttural groan reverberated through the air, rattling the glass in the windows. It wasn't human, it sounded like the warehouse itself was alive, groaning under the weight of its own decay. Sam's flashlight flickered, then died. He cursed, slapping it in a futile attempt to bring it back to life. "Over here," Rachel hissed, pointing to a second door on the far side of the office. They bolted for it, bursting into a narrow hallway lined with more offices. The groaning sound followed them, growing louder, almost like heavy footsteps echoing in pursuit. "Where are we even going?" Miguel panted, his eyes wide with terror. Anywhere but here, Rachel snapped. They stumbled down a flight of stairs, emerging into another part of the warehouse. This area was even darker, the air colder. The beams of their flashlights barely penetrated the gloom, revealing only glimpses of rusted machinery and heaps of debris. "Wait," Sam whispered, holding up a hand. The others stopped, their breath hitching. The footsteps had stopped, but now there was a new sound, a faint, metallic rasping, like a chain being dragged across the floor. "Do you hear that?" Miguel whimpered. Rachel nodded, her knuckles white as she gripped her flashlight. "Stay close." They moved cautiously, the sound growing louder with each step. It was coming from a large machine in the center of the room, a hulking mass of iron and gears that looked like some ancient mechanical beast. As they approached, Sam's flashlight flickered back to life, illuminating the machine. Hanging from one of its hooks was a chain, swaying gently as if recently disturbed. Beneath it lay a pile of clothing and bones, picked clean. Miguel gagged, stumbling back. "Oh my God!" A sudden burst of movement sent them all scrambling. From behind the machine, a figure emerged, a grotesque, humanoid shape twisted from metal and shadow. Its head was a rusted helmet, its limbs long and jagged, ending in hooked claws that gleamed in the flashlight's beam. The thing let out a deafening roar, a sound like grinding gears and tearing metal, and lunged toward them. "Run!" Rachel screamed. They bolted, weaving through the maze of machinery as the creature gave chase. Its footsteps were thunderous, shaking the ground beneath them. Sam tripped over a length of pipe and fell hard, his flashlight skittering away. Rachel and Miguel turned back, but the creature was already upon him, its clawed hand reaching out. "Leave him," Rachel yelled, yanking Miguel away. "No, we can't." Sam's screams were cut off as the creature dragged him into the shadows. Rachel and Miguel sprinted toward the entrance, their lungs burning. Behind them, the creature's roars echoed through the warehouse, mingling with the sound of clanging metal. They burst outside, collapsing onto the gravel as the night swallowed them. The warehouse stood silent, its darkened windows like eyes watching them flee. "We have to tell someone," Miguel panted, tears streaming down his face. Rachel shook her head, her expression hollow. "Who's going to believe us?" Above them, the warehouse groaned, the sound almost like laughter. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, it really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Tap the bell to stay notified whenever we post a new video. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.